おはようございます。なほです。
And I'm Matt. Hi.
はい、このカモンレディオでは私たちが運営している、英語のオンラインプログラムカモンラインについて英語で語っていく番組なんですけれども、前回に引き続き今回もグローバルイングリッシュキャンプ同窓会ということで、オフラインのプログラムで2015年からやっているイングリッシュキャンプというプログラムに参加してくれていたメンターの方をゲストにお呼びしてお話を進めていきたいと思っております。今日のゲストはXuanです。
Yeah, Naho. As always, I am every week. I'm excited, but I'm especially excited. Xuan and I, of course, he did the program multiple years. I've known him for four and a half years. Back when I first talked with him in the basement of Caltech at our first information session there. But since then, we have grown really, really close, and both in Japan, experiencing the program together, but we also live across the street from each other in Pasadena. And so we've become really, really close friends and just really happy to have him on.
Okay.
There he is.
Hey, everyone. Yeah,
Xuan.
Xuan.
that's a super funny point, Matt. I can't believe it's already been 4.5 years, and we found out in Tokyo that we live across the street from each other.
Yeah, we said, oh yeah, you must live in Pasadena. Yeah, where do you live? Allen in Colorado. What?
It's like,
I did.
No, you don't. I live there. You can't live there.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for coming on, Xuan.
Thank you. Xuan, if you can introduce yourself a bit.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. First of all, thanks for having me, guys. So my name is Joanne Sun. I'm currently a graduate student doing my PhD at the California Institute of Technology. You might be able to hear it. I don't know if you can. My accent is Canadian because I am originally from the East Coast of Canada. And I have slowly moved myself west with every passing year of my life. So, of course, I naturally would end up in Japan at some point. I did the program. I am working in experimental nuclear physics. So obviously not very much to do with Global English Camp, but it was a very fun trying to explain to Japanese students what I was working on. I don't know how much they understood. I'm sorry if you had to listen to me and you didn't understand any of it.
I still don't understand.
But as for my history with Global English Camp I was a mentor in 2017, and I loved it so much I came back in 2018. And I loved it so much I actually came back in 2019 as a researcher for Mitsubishi Denki, Mitsubishi Electric Advanced R&D Research Center. So not Global English Camp. I was stationed in Osaka that time.
But we still got to meet up.
Yeah, exactly. Because Global English Camp is still my favorite part of Japan.
Cool.
Yeah. So really excited to be here, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thank you so much. And
you
even showed me your lab and our buddy Justin at Caltech. That was so cool. And I still don't understand. I did something with you, but I don't understand.
Yeah, well, at the time you came, actually, I was just on that. I started a new research project back in November 2019. So when you came in, we were really testing things out for the first time. So I didn't know what I was doing either. And for context, I gave Matt a huge bucket of liquid nitrogen, which is 73 degrees Kelvin. Don't get that on yourself. Matt poured it into a cooler that we bought for $20. So you can imagine the liquid nitrogen costs a lot more than the cooler it went into. And yeah, that's kind of my work.
Yeah, and then we went and played Pokemon Go across campus, I believe.
Yeah, that's also part of my work. Pokemon Go is a very important part of my work.
Yeah, and Xuan actually even gave me a tour of campus, and I wrote about it for my online magazine. So we've got lots of history there together. But speaking of Caltech, I think Naho has a question about your final year there.
Yeah. So you are graduating from Caltech this year?
Mm-hmm.
How has your last year?
Go ahead.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Okay. My last year in a nutshell has been difficult. It is not the same experience, that's for sure. So for context, as a PhD student, I don't really take classes. When you sign up for a PhD, a doctorate of philosophy, you have two tracks. One PhD is typically based on classes. You're in for a certain amount of time. You pay the university money, and they give you classes and maybe some hands-on projects, and then you leave with a PhD. Now, I don't come from a ton of money, so I wasn't going to go back to school for another 5 years. The second track of PhDs are called research PhDs, where you go in, you do a few classes in your first year, and then you do a research project. Because you're contributing research to the university, they pay you the whole time. So I make a salary. I make a livable salary. All my expenses are paid for to attend the school, and I work on a research project. I've been doing that since 2016. Working on a research project involves two things, or there's two tracks. One is you can be working on analysis, which is you're working on crunching data that's already been taken from different research, or you can be working on building a research project. So I've done both. And it was just my luck that right before COVID, I switched to building a research project, and building a research project means you need to be in the lab.
No.
So when COVID hit, actually, we were not able to go to the lab. So there was a long time where I wasn't really doing anything. Since about May or June, we've been able to go back to the lab. So I go in about 2 to 3 times a week. I get tested every time I go to campus. Yeah. So and I've been able to work. Everyone sort of understands that there's huge delays due to COVID. Just not a surprise to anybody. But our research group we're quite lean. We're a small group that's very effective. So we've gone ahead of schedule. First, we were delayed. We were projected to be a 1-year delay, and now we're 8 months ahead of schedule. So we're almost on the original timeline again. And when I finish this current research project, which is scheduled to end in about April, I'll have a couple months to write up my thesis, and then I graduate. So this year, in a nutshell, it's been slower. We've worked harder. I don't get a chance to see my friends. I don't get a chance to do things on school campus that isn't work. So it's been a lot harder in that respect.
Yeah. So you haven't necessarily had to do any classes online. It was just when the lab was shut down. And now you get tested every time you walk in to go to your lab? Wow.
Yep. A great point on the classes. So actually in a PhD program, I finished my classes in my first year. So that would have been summer 2016, and I haven't taken a class since then. Lots of my friends have to TA, teacher's assistant. So they have to run lessons and grade and tutorials and sometimes lectures. They do all of that online. And from what I can understand, it sucks because they have to do it for different time zones. So some people are TAing one lesson at noon and another lesson at midnight. And if I had to plan my workday around being at work at noon and midnight, I'd be like, oh man, no more of this, please.
Yeah. That's really tough. But glad that you haven't. It's kind of different than everyone else who's come on the show that have these different impacts. Yours is very, very different, which is cool. And that's great. You're getting tested as well. Well, I guess we can move on now that we covered the remote learning pretty quickly there.
Super negative in tests. Here's hoping that continues.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And as you know, a big part of our Global English Camp and Come Online, United at Home programs are the UN Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. So obviously they're important.
I love the SDGs.
Which SDGs do you feel most connected to you and why?
All of them equally. Every SDG is my friend. No, I'm just messing around.
Now you got to say all 17.
100%.
All 17, yeah. SDG is the most important thing. Oh, no, just kidding. I'm making these jokes because the SDGs were very important and very present during my Global English Camp experience. And because we kept teaching them every week, there became certain patterns where the students seemed to like particular SDGs. In my total of 2 summers, I think the most popular SDG was zero hunger. I think I heard about zero hunger no less than 40 times. So that was pretty fun.
It's probably because you were their mentor and you eat so much.
Yeah, right. Like they were like they don't want their mentor to go hungry. I felt touched. I felt touched, really. Anyway, I really do value a lot of the SDGs. I think all of them represent very key, important ideas, and a lot of them play with sort of relate to each other. I think it's very difficult to pick one without seeing how they affect the others. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and take possibly what I think is a cop-out answer and say 17, which is partnerships for the goals.
Whoa, didn't expect that.
Yeah, because I agree with this. All the SDGs are related to each other in very intimate ways. It's very difficult to achieve one without achieving others. It's very difficult to achieve all of them. And I think there is no progress and no future without partnership. Humans can do much more working together than they ever can alone. And with such ambitious, sustainable development goals, I think you have to work together. 17 is my answer, and that's the right answer. No, just kidding.
Well done.
I'm kidding.
And for everyone listening, I'm just going to preface that we did not talk to Xuan about which one he was going to choose before the show. And Xuan, we're actually on the SDG partnership website for, because we're working towards obviously promoting these in classroom. And one of the ones that we link, besides of course quality education, is 17, because we're teachers and students are coming together to promote them and learn about them and try to be more active and do it together. Wow, look at that.
I support you, Matt. I support you, Naho. I support you, audience on YouTube.
It's a great answer.
Yeah.
I love it. That was a nice surprise.
Not scripted. This is super. Oh, Robert.
Oh my God. Who was your favorite team member in 2018 and why was it?
Well, I remember one kid, Robert. I can't remember his last name. Anyway, he was the worst. No, I'm just kidding. I see this question on the YouTube chat by Robert Vilkellis. I never actually learned how to pronounce his last name. And he was actually an intern in my team in 2018. So that was awesome.
Right.
I will again take the cop-out answer that I loved all my members equally. Just kidding, Robert. It was definitely you. I really enjoyed the fact I found out the following summer when I went back that 4 of my team members came back. They came on back to come on out to do it one more time. And I thought that was fantastic because to me, it means that they must have had at least a pretty good time in 2018.
And it was partially thanks to you, Xuan.
No, I take no credit for this. I was trying to make their life hell every day.
Well, that's the great part about it. Mentorship exists in all levels. And thanks, Robert, for that question. And people keep coming back. Yeah. But you must have done something right, Xuan. So
I like to think it was my very influential nature as I was stranded really far away from my team when they were in Osaka and I was in Okazaki, I think. I spent.
That's right. We sent you around. Yeah.
I got the Shinkansen miles.
That's good. Did you do homestay?
I did homestay. Yes, I wasn't scheduled to do a homestay. Funny story. I brought a gift for my homestay family, and I was really sad that I didn't get scheduled for a homestay. So in the second week, when they're like, "That's it, all the homestays are scheduled, nothing else," I was like, "Okay, well, I have this present. I don't have a lot of luggage space. I should give it to someone." So I gave my homestay present away to someone who was going to stay with the family. And then 2 weeks later, Christian Stalling got sick and had to cancel his homestay. So I went to his homestay family. I showed up empty-handed, of course. And I'm like, oh no. I had nothing for them. And the first night, I don't even know if they were expecting me. So, and I eat a lot. I eat a lot more than your average Japanese male does. So I ate like 3 people's worth of dinner.
They were probably really happy about that, to be honest.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great story.
Okay. Yeah, today we're supposed to bring Shota as well. He's the former student of yours. And after that, he helped English Camp program as a staff member too. Yeah, so it's unfortunately he couldn't make it today, but do you have any so for Shota?
Shota. Hey, I'm Shota. No, I remember him distinctly. Actually, he was a student of mine in my second week teaching, I believe, either second or third week in my first summer, and it was the first time I believe I had all university students. So I had I don't want to get this wrong, so I'm just not going to say it. But Shota was one of 4 or 5 university students I had that group, and it was really interesting because the previous group I had were middle school students. So it was very interesting to talk to university students and see their opinions their perspectives and their thoughts on Japan and Japan's issues and the sustainable development goals. I learned a lot from all of them, really. I mean, just as university students, they have a lot to offer, a lot of different ways of thinking. I will tell one story about Shota. He had, I can't remember if it's his life mission or if he had a different presentation, but he did it on the blackboard in the Shinjuku Tokyo building, right on 15th floor. He did it on the blackboard. He did this amazing talk where he talked about sort of the way that the Japanese discipline their kids versus American students. So he just drew this line in the middle of a blackboard, right? And he's like, take, for example, a student who throws a brick through a window. In Japan, they would be punished by being locked out of their home. They would be told to go somewhere else. And basically, the punishment here is that they lose the security of their family. They lose the security of their home. And they're basically left on their own to fend for themselves. That's the punishment in Japan. He says, take that same student in America where they would be grounded. They would actually be forced to stay in their room for weeks. And the idea is in America, they punish you by taking away your freedom, your personal choice, and forcing you to conform with the family and with your home. And I thought that was a really, really insightful life missions presentation. He went over time. I was a little annoyed by that. He went super over time because I was a stickler for time.
You were trying to tell him.
Yeah, because other groups would not be a stickler for time. And I'm like, come on, these kids can't sit here for 5 hours listening to one person talk. Like, we got to be on time, guys. But I thought it was really insightful. It was one of the more interesting talks because it was a way I never thought of things before. And my favorite question afterwards was one of the Japanese high school students. You know, we always want them to ask questions so they could feel comfortable speaking English. Yeah. They asked, was that high school student you? And he was like, 以上です. And then he walked.
Oh my gosh. That's awesome. I'd never heard that story. I must have not been there.
It was awesome. It gave me a brand new way of thinking about you know, what's important for Japanese society versus what's important to American society. And me as a Canadian, I mean, I'm obviously, Canada is very similar to the United States, but there are still things that we view very differently. When I have come to California as a Canadian citizen, I definitely see the world differently than my American friends. So it was interesting being in Japan with all these Americans sort of juggling, what do I see from, you know, Eastern Japanese culture versus Western American culture versus my hometown of Eastern Canada.
Yeah.
And Shota really put that all in perspective for me. And then also Shota, he's super fun anyway.
Oh, we'll have to show him this. That's so cool. And awesome. And, you know, without knowing it again, Xuan, you're being a proponent for our online program because we obviously emphasize so much learning from each other's cultural differences and doing it from our homes. But that's so cool. Also, you know, of course, as you said, you're from Canada, but I call you the most Californian non-Californian I know.
I live that lifestyle. Shorts, rainbow flip-flops, and tank tops all summer long, all year long. I actually, a lot of people had asked me this when I was in Japan, like especially when I was working for Mitsubishi Denki. They were like, can they tell that you're like not Japanese? I'm like, you can't. I mean, I'm Asian. My parents are Chinese. I was born in China, but I think when people see me on the street, they know I'm not Japanese. And it's something about my hair and the fact that I'm wearing t-shirts and shorts at times, at any time of the day, that I think it's pretty obvious that I'm not Japanese or live there, you know, regularly. Gotta have that California look.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You're just.
But maybe if you are wearing kimono.
Oh, maybe.
Right.
In the picture,
that was actually from my summer when I was working with Mitsubishi. I got a chance to do this kimono photo shoot, and I really loved it. Actually, it's really beautiful.
Beautiful.
Cool.
I mean, it's the best picture we've had so far. Sorry, everyone else. Oh man.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. And if Shota, if you are listening,
you missed
please join us next time. You missed it. Okay. So Xuan, thank you for joining today.
Yeah, really appreciate it.
Yeah, hope to catch up again. はい、YouTube の説明の方にリンクなど書いてありますので、プログラムの詳細はぜひリンクをクリックしてご覧ください。また来週も配信の予定ですので、ぜひご覧ください。Okay, so Matt, see you next week.
Yeah. Thank
Yep.
you again. And Xuan,
Thank
I'll
you,
see you at our
Xuan.
local coffee shop soon enough.
Whenever we can, given the state of things now.
Yeah, or on a hike, walking away from each other as we do.
Thanks so much for having me, guys. It was a lot of fun.
Thank
Have a good
you.
one.